Good morning, everyone. Thursday, June 2nd. Welcome to 30 Minutes with Spyglass Lending. We have with us Laurie Shiers, owner of Brainchild Coaching, a fellow San Fernando Vallier. She's in Studio City. I'm in Valley Village. We don't live that far apart, though I'm in Sherman Oaks right now. Welcome to the show. How are you, Laurie?
Thank you. I'm great. Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday to you. We don't say that enough to each other. It's always like a happy Friday or a happy Monday. I don't know why Thursday gets pushed to the side, but
I mean, why not celebrate a Thursday?
Right. Absolutely. Celebrate every day, right?
Yes.
It's all good. Happy to be here.
Yes, same.
So tell us, what is going on with you? What it's 11 o'clock. What would you otherwise be doing? I'm going to put right to it. We're getting into it.
Probably I usually have clients at 11 o'clock, actually. I moved a client today so that I could be with you, but my mornings are usually a combination of doing some writing and then moving into one-on-one with coaching clients.
Personal journaling? You're writing a book? You copywriting? What are we looking at?
Yes, I do a little of everything. I like to start my day with just the old-fashioned artist way, like 3 pages stream of consciousness journaling. Kind of gets the cobwebs out and
3 pages. By the way, are we talking like small? I don't mean to interrupt, but are we talking like small notebook here, or like sizable spiral? What?
Oh no!
That's a good one.
Yes, I
think I saw some diagrams in there too.
What?
It looked like there were a few diagrams in there as well. Maybe a chart.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Because sometimes we don't think in words. Sometimes we think in pictures, right?
Yeah. So yes, we do.
I mean, Joan Didion said, "I write to know what I think," and I feel a lot like that too. Sometimes I don't know what's going on with me until I write it out. And so, like, best case scenario, I wake up, I write, I do the 3 pages, then I go for a run. Then, occasionally I'll shower after that, and then I'll get on with my day. I get into like whatever I'm writing, depending on the day, and then client work.
This is every day? Are you doing this at least 7 days a week, or is it more just during the week business hours?
It's kind of fluid, and I allow it to be. I don't want to get rigid ever around the process. So that's like a good day for me. And then some days, like my running partner, my road wife, I call her, she had to meet early. And so we got up early and I ran before I did anything. And so I can flip flop, but it's sort of like there are ingredients for a great day for me. And they usually include some kind of movement, some kind of meditation, some kind of writing, and then also a made bed. I don't know if you know, but that's like the secret to a good day.
You just hit all 4 quadrants of our mental health here, of how we should you can journal a little bit, get the thoughts out, get the gratification right in life, do the exercise, as it were. By the way, how many miles are you up to? Are you training for something, or is it just like, let's hit 2, 3, 4?
I have done 11 marathons in my day. And
I'm sorry. We're pausing on that for a second. 11. Any of them the same, or have you done 11 different marathons?
Oh no, 11 different ones. A few times, but 11 different.
Where was the coolest one?
Boston. I qualified for Boston, and this was really cool. So if we're going here, my first marathon became this thing. I did it in Chicago, and it was 2007, and it was hot. It was like a record hot marathon day, and I think somebody died that day because it was so hot, and they were not prepared with the water stations. And I was running, and I'd been training, and I was running as fast as I could go. And I told myself, if I can finish this in under 4 hours, I will never ever have to do this again. And that was the bargain I made with myself. And I made it in 4 hours and 2 minutes. And I was like, okay, well, clearly now I have to do it again. And
do you think you did that a little on purpose? Was that something maybe subconsciously?
No.
You gave it a shot. Yeah.
I was going for it. But I also didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know that marathons could be a lot more pleasurable than that one. It was brutally hot. So that year I did 4. I did 4 marathons. I was in such good shape. I just got a little addicted. And every few months I did it. And so at the end of that year, I went back and I did Chicago again. And I did it 2 weeks before my husband and I got on a plane to Thailand to adopt our baby boy.
Oh my goodness.
And it was like the bookend of an incredible year. Like my gestation, my pregnancy was essentially like running. And then we went to Thailand and we adopted our son, and we came home, and to keep myself balanced, I would still run as much as I could. But during that year, I had qualified for Boston. And so that next year, what is it? I think it's April. The whole family, we went to Boston, and my husband had our little boy like in a backpack, and they followed me to all the areas. And it was an incredible peak experience.
This is amazing. You were on the runner's high, and then 2 weeks later flew all the way to Thailand. And
Yeah.
as you mentioned, adopt your son. Do you have just one son now?
Yes.
How old?
He's almost 15, Aaron. I know you have kids. It goes so fast, right? Like so fast.
Three children, right? And one of them's almost 5. It's like, yo, where did it go? And yours, as you said, 15. Turn around, and he's giving you a tough time in high school.
Getting started.
Where's he go, by the way? What part of town? I mean, is he also is it Studio City or?
So he goes to Walter Reed Middle School. He's in a program there that's great, and he's finishing in a week. And then when he finishes, we move. We're moving out deeper into the Val, into West Hills.
I think we spoke about that before getting on. Part of the reason we're having you on today, right? This being a real estate related show, adjacent show, if I could put it in quotes.
Sure.
Let's talk about that before we circle back, and we're gonna
hear
more about Brainchild coaching. But
sure.
you're moving. So you've already closed on the property, or you're still looking?
We closed, and we've had the world's longest escrow. It's been months. I mean, and part of the reason why I think the previous owners of this house chose us, because they had multiple offers, was because we said, fine, stay till middle of June or early June, because they have a son who they wanted to finish the school year out with him where he was. And so we were fine with that. I think we closed at the end of April. And so it's been like, like a Band-Aid being slowly pulled off. It's just ready to go.
Right. And this is interesting. So you closed end of April. Tell me again, you said you were moving when?
So we are now moving July 1st, but the family over there moves next Monday. So we're going to start doing a little bit of work and moving some things in, and then we'll actually officially move in the beginning of July.
Got it. And where you're living now, this is, are you currently renting, or did you end up selling your place as well?
So originally we were going to keep our place.
Okay.
And that's what I wanted to do, and rent it out. And then the renter fell through, and a developer swooped in.
Yeah.
And I was hoping that once we put our house on the market, that we'd have a nice little family living here. We've been here 20 years. There's so many memories in this house, and these walls have our DNA somehow. That sounds really gross, but I
think the audience will know what you mean.
They feel us, we feel them, and there's just been so much here, and so much history. It's where my son grew up, and I just was really sad to let it go to a developer, but truly it was the one offer. It was over asking.
Yep.
They made it really easy for us.
Yep.
And they let us have this long escrow. So it's
maybe they'll keep everything intact and just do a light cut. No, we know
what they're doing. I actually was like, I have a renter for you. I think you guys can rent if you want to do that. And they said, no, we have plans. I guess there is a house whose plans have already been pushed through the building department, and they're going to do an identical version here, of course. And so they can push the plans through more quickly. And what I've been told by our now landlady, which is so weird, by the way, to live in your own house of 20 years and have a landlady. Suddenly she said that they're going to start demo in about 3 months.
Yeah. So that'll happen very quickly. They're going to go get those plans and permits. Or, oftentimes developers will just demo because it's better if they're not going to rent the property out. It's a liability to have the standing structure there. Oddly enough, it's better for them ultimately to do that. If they have their financing in place, if they have everything ready to go, whether they're paying cash or however it is, the lender might not love that they're doing that unless they're going to start building soon. But it's interesting because they're looking at that and saying, well, the longer it sits there, anything could happen to the house, or I could have a squatter move in. So I'd rather raise the property and get going. So
I guess, they have their plan. And
And you said but they closed and you're renting back to them.
Yeah.
Which is interesting too, because, from a real estate investment perspective, they're playing the game that everything's cool with you. You were going to close on that other house and you're absolutely going to leave and no problem. I mean, a lot of developers would want it delivered vacant, right? With no issues or concern that you're going to fight them after the fact.
Well, I suppose, and we wouldn't have agreed to it. So it was
right. If you hadn't, and you hear that all the time as well, right? It's got to be on your terms. You're the seller, it's your property, and the developer wants it bad enough. They're going to trust you and your word and what you're going to do. Certainly, because they want the property. That it's worth it to them to take the risk.
Yeah, I guess it's a calculated risk. And I actually have a question for you about this, because when I found out that they were going to demo the property, I was thinking about our environment with that and sustainability. And this house is built in 1938. It's a sweet little jewel. I mean, the fact that they're knocking it down I have so many feelings about that. Obviously, I've already said, but the other piece of it is like just destroying it and putting all this thing into our whole house into a landfill and not reusing anything. It's heartbreaking, and it does not make sense for construction to keep doing things the way that they're doing it. And so I started doing some research and discovered there's something called deconstruction, which you may be familiar with, but I wasn't.
Enlighten me. I feel like I've heard the term, but you'll probably know a lot more than me.
So what it is taking the house apart intentionally and carefully so that the pieces of it that are salvageable can be reused. And like in a house that was built in 1938, obviously building is really, really different now. Codes are really different now. Structures are different. And so there's a lot of useful materials that builders could reuse into a new property or even reinforce an existing property. And so there are companies that do deconstruction. The problem is that it takes 3 times as long. It's twice as expensive. And so these builders who are trying to put things up in 3 months, they're not saying yes to that. But there's a lower impact, easier version of that is being done through Habitat for Humanity through their Restore project. And what Restore is, as far as I understand it, is that they will take donated materials from your house, and then they'll use it to build the houses that they're building for people in need. And so, like, what I've offered this landlady, this company now, is to bring a handyman in here and like take apart the pieces so that they can, donate them to Restore. So the things in here that are useful can be given a second life. Whether or not they take me up on that remains to be seen.
This is fascinating. Did not know about this. Did not know about what Habitat for Humanity is doing. Tell me again, what was the name of the program so we can talk a little more about it when I put the...
So Restore.
Restore.
Like the word restore, but it's restore. I don't know. But what Restore does, I think in some cases, is they sell the materials and the money made goes towards building the houses. And in other cases, the actual materials are what gets reused by them.
Okay. And how would they incentivize the new developer to take them up on what you want them to do?
This is a question. And this is so interesting to me. I don't know if this is a new path for me or what, or I'm feeling passionate about it, but I know that there are some tax credits that developers can be given when they use one of these processes. But in conversations with this developer, it just sounds like it's really far away from them actualizing it. Like whether it's the money or the amount of time it takes, it doesn't fit into the current paradigm of how the builders operate. So it's truly, like, I think very ripe for a paradigm shift so that we can make this easy for the people who are building houses instead of making it so complicated. Like right now, it's really hard.
Like too often the case, you hear it through LADBS and the red tape and the bureaucracy, right? I mean, if there's any way to your point to bridge that gap and be able to bring those two things together would be incredible, because I'm sure there are a lot of developers who would say yes. I mean, some of them just out of the goodness of their own heart are wanting to do it right. And a lot of them do feel that way. No question about it. But others, money talks, right? So it still has to not eat into their bottom line or cut into their time.
Right. And if there was a tax credit or some kind of benefit that equalized it a little bit and incentivized them even, It'd be great. It's so much that we're doing. Every time they knock one of these houses down, it's so much material that's getting just put back into the earth and not in a healthy way.
It's yeah, absolutely, that happens every time. And not only that, but I think a lot of investors, developers especially, they have taken a lot of heat over the past decade, especially for the rise in equity, and everybody's concerned that the younger generations can't afford housing and the spike in equity. It's the investors' fault. I mean, all the way from the large companies who buy and own rental real estate. There's massive companies, Zillow included, but all the way down to the mom and pop investor who everybody looks at them like they're the villain, unfortunately. Sometimes fair, but more often than not fair. But this if they could otherwise use this program, another really
the builder suddenly
looks
looks like the good guy and doing the right thing for the environment. And frankly, as a homeowner, like doing the right thing for the previous owner, I would feel so much better knowing that the things in this house are being given a second life.
Yeah.
It gives me peace. And I know I'm not alone. I can't be alone in that.
They should change the name of the program to Second Life. That you might have had something there.
Sort of internet thing. That was like MySpace or one of those things.
It definitely was, but still, I mean, as far as a program goes, it might sound good. All right, but then ultimately, yes, I mean, it is happening. You are giving that developer, and you're moving on, and you're going to, as you mentioned, you're going to West Hills. Why the move west? Tell us again why you're going that way.
So, I mean, I think there are a lot of little reasons that add up to the big reason, which is that it was just really time for a change. Mm-hmm. This neighborhood is great in a lot of ways and changing in others. It feels busier and less safe right here. I mean, my boy has never really been able to just walk freely and be able to not look over his shoulder because of, what's going on in the neighborhood. That sounds so ominous, but I think crime is moving in a little bit. And I really, during the pandemic, was starting to feel so claustrophobic in this little house. We were all working at home. My husband's a therapist. I'm a coach and a writer. And so we were both home all the time, seeing people, talking to people. And I look out my window at the greenery, and that was great. But I really wanted to look beyond the wall and see a view. And so we have a nice little place. It's really pretty, actually, with a view. It's quiet. It's safe. And I feel like I'm 1,000 years old saying all that. But
it's honest, right? And you're not certainly alone in what's going on out there. I mean, I am right down the road from you, essentially, in Valley Village. And these pockets, Studio City, Valley Village especially, were known as, quote unquote, the suburbs of Los Angeles for a long time. And that's where you would go and be able to have this peace of mind, and families can feel good about it. And as you mentioned, there is a lot seeping in that is questionable.
Yeah.
And you're taking a pretty big jaunt west, because West Hills is not, obviously it's not just 5 or 10 minutes up the 101.
We did not want to be that far. It was like one of those things where we started realizing if we wanted to get anything that we would truly love to live in, we had to move further out. And so we were like, we'll go as far as Woodland Hills, south of the boulevard, be close to the beach, easy peasy. And we couldn't find anything we loved. And so this one that we found, it was actually before it really hit the market. And I think we got really lucky. It's a great house. And I think it would have gone into way more multiples had it been on the MLS.
Right. And you didn't even go that route. Good. What's this do to the family dynamic? What's everybody got to do now? Your husband has to do what with his clients? You were going to do what? And your son is now going where?
Oh, such good questions. It's all in flow. It's all in flux. I think that my husband's going to get an office, part-time office, because he's actually, really interestingly, most of his therapy clients do not want to go in person. They're happy to be on Zoom.
They became virtual, right? You hear this a lot, so it's interesting to hear. I mean, and maybe you're about to say the same thing for your own. And I don't know. You tell us. But it seems like, those who were going to therapy, you hear it a lot from therapists. I've spoken to a lot of therapists over the past couple of years since the pandemic, just because so many of them it's just part of the social circle, and they're like, not coming back. people would rather be on Zooms.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I was going to say. Most people want to be on Zoom. My husband really wants to be in person. He misses the dynamic of just being in the room with someone. I have been virtual for a really long time, and I like it that way. I like having a day or so of in-person meetings, but I'm good with mostly being on Zoom. So it'll be, he'll be at the office and we'll have some space, and that would be great. And that's the loose plan. We're adding a little studio in there so we can film stuff. And I finished a course and he finished a course, and so we'll make more courses in the house and, things like that.
You finished a course. You finished an online course that you put yourself out there where you're
Yes.
Dare I use the term mastermind? I don't know, but what are the courses that you did, and what platform were you on?
So I've launched a course called From Inspiration to Action, and it's about how to develop a joyful creative practice where you're not beating your head against the wall and feeling stuck all the time. And that's just, it's very newly out there. I just finished the beta a couple months ago, and I'm excited to get people in the course.
Tell us more about that. Let's go down that road. So your perfect client, your avatar for who you're working with in Brainchild coaching. Tell us more.
Well, I'll back up a little bit and tell you where it came from in terms of work life and everything. I spent most of my career in advertising on the creative side as a copywriter. And I loved the creativity part of it. I loved the collaborative piece of it. I didn't love the selling of things. And I know that's part of it, obviously, but
part of the quote unquote advertising, the selling of things. Yeah,
sounds like I'm saying the most obvious thing, but there were parts of it that I really loved, and parts of it that were just starting to feel less aligned with what I really wanted to put out in the world. And I, years into it, was just needing a change, and a change was kind of forced on me. My little brother passed away, and I was wrecked. And this is such a long story that I'm going to make very short, but I just couldn't go back to my daily stuff in the way that I was doing it. There was no way for me to feel good about the life that I felt like I was waiting for something to change instead of making change myself. And I needed to move past that. And so I ended up going back to school, and I got my degree in human development with a focus on social change. And then I really wanted to work with people one-on-one. I thought maybe I was going to become a therapist, but I took a slight detour and went into coaching. And as I went through the programs and everything, I realized, coaching is wonderful, and I have an opportunity to bring in the gifts that I have been given and have learned along the way in my previous career. And so,
is that why you went into coaching? Was that really the thought process at the time when you diverted into coaching from?
I really wanted to help people become more of who they really are, like really get in touch with what makes them light up. And so often, but I guess because I'm a creative person, so often it's creative people who come to me and who I just adore, and they come to me stuck. And so I have this, this deep background in brainstorming and creativity, where I just love to play. I love to play with people wherever they're stuck and bring a little bit of levity and joy into their process. And so you've heard me talk about my morning routine already. We've talked about that. Yep. But that's sort of like, as I left advertising, I sort of started to build my own routines and practices and try them out on people and try them out on myself. And lo and behold, we come to today where I've got From Inspiration to Action, which is the new program.
That's awesome. Are you going to do more? Did you mention that? Right. Yeah, I think you said in the new house you're going to be launching some other courses.
Yeah.
And you said your husband as well. He put a course together for his own practice.
He has put together a course that is not launched yet, but it's any moment now. It's called Making Sense of Your Emotions. And it's about the difference between feelings and emotions. And he's got a deep mindfulness background. And so it's using mindfulness and psychotherapy and some Buddhist wisdom to kind of help people understand what they're feeling, why, and what to do with it. And he and I love to mess around and play with ideas together. And we've done over the pandemic and even before a course on mindfulness and creativity, but we've done it live. So
Oh, how
And that's
cool.
so fun. So I'm thinking maybe what we'll do is do a recorded version of that where people can kind of do both. I was gonna say he put his chocolate in my peanut butter. It's the good blend, right kinds of things. And it's really fun because mindfulness and creativity are like cousins anyway.
I was just thinking conversations around the dinner table must be fascinating. No doubt. And your son, what's his plan? Where's he going?
He's awesome. So he's gonna go to Cleveland High School.
Okay.
He got into their humanities magnet. There's gonna be a lot of writing, and he he'll get used to that. He's brilliant. He's a brilliant kid. He's a musician too. He plays piano and trombone, and he wants to join the jazz band and the marching band, and you know,
Aspirational and inspirational. That sounds pretty awesome.
yeah.
And he's a writer too. You're saying? Is that because of you? Or did you make
No,
sure
no, he's not really a writer, but he is a writer. He just doesn't really know it yet. Like
he doesn't know it yet. Okay.
This program has so much writing because this is how their interdisciplinary approach works. It's that you're doing a lot of writing and digesting that way, and that's some of the college prep that they do. And
speaking of college, does he have any ideas, or do you have any ideas for him?
No ideas.
No clue. No clue. Couple years. I'm definitely rushing him. I could hear it in your voice. You're like, don't even tell. He's not leaving yet. Take him out of the house.
Not time for that.
But as you mentioned, he will be a writer in some capacity.
He will learn how to write well. And he already does know how to write, but he was going to learn how to write really, really well. And he'll be able to use that. He's got a good noodle.
By the way, trombone and piano, like how did those two things come about? You don't often hear those.
I mean, he's been playing piano since he was really little.
Okay.
And I mean, 3 or 4. And he had lessons with a teacher who was like Mother Goose. She was just loving and sweet. And she took him to a place where she's like, I can't really teach him anymore. She was kind of, he had graduated her. And after that, he had a teacher and he wasn't inspired. And it was like, we thought maybe piano was going to go away. Mm-hmm. And I was really wanting him to continue, but I wasn't sure how it was going to happen. And then he came home from school one day, I think he was in 4th grade, and he was lit up about this woman who came and performed and how fast her fingers were going and what she was doing and what she was teaching them. And I tracked this woman down and I was like, where do you live? Do you teach? And are you taking any new students? She said, I have one other student. I said, do you want another one? And I don't know if there was some like mother instinct in there, but I got the 2 of them together and he's been playing like beautifully since then. She's a wonderful, wonderful teacher and mentor to him. And he's great. He's like, he's playing jazz and it's awesome.
This is incredible. This is so awesome. And they're still together. He still sees her.
Yeah. And now on Zoom, but she's in Sherman Oaks. So, we can go see her. Right. And then trombone happened because when he got into the music program over here at Walter Reed, there was only one spot for piano and it was like already taken by some virtuoso. So he tried trombone.
Right. Yeah. He's like, yeah, just trombone. Why not?
Why not?
That looks cool. That's a cool instrument.
And then like randomly 2 months ago, he's like, hey, I'm going to join the percussion group. So now that's Thursdays after school.
That's the new thing. Yeah, you're like, well, look, it's all, I mean, it's, like it's all under the same umbrella, but that's really cool. Well, good for him. Laurie, our 30 minutes are fast approaching here. I'm looking at the clock. That went very, very quickly.
Oh my gosh.
Very much appreciate the time. Appreciate you moving a client today. Didn't know that, but thank you so much. I think this is more important anyway, obviously, to have this conversation and told us a lot. You really told us a lot about deconstruction. This is very cool. I'm certainly going to go look into that. So thank you for bringing that up. Sounds like a very, very cool program that Habitat for Humanity is putting together. And you would mention real quickly again that you said that you want to get involved in it somehow, that you thought like a big calling.
I don't know. I'm a super passionate creative person. And so sometimes I have these flares and I have to really check myself and see if that's what I want to spend my time on or not. But I think it's very worthwhile. And in some way I do want to be involved. I don't know what that means yet, but I'm excited about it.
I hope you get your chance. Congratulations on the Sailor House. Congratulations on the new one you've got and this big, exciting, awesome move west, but not too far west. So I'm sure it'll work out wonderful. Laurie Shiers, Brainchild Coaching. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Aaron. Good to talk to you.
You too.